It's no secret that gentrification and skyrocketing property values are costing New Yorkers their homes. But in a new twist, the city's third-party transfer program, which is supposed to help struggling homeowners, is now being blamed for those property takeovers alongside forced foreclosures and deed fraud. That, at least, is what Councilmember Robert Cornegy and Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams claimed after a spike in callers complaining about the problem. Here's a look at a recent report by Pix 11 News reporter Joe Messeri, who has been investigating this story.
I bought the house in 2004.
Van Walker can't go back to his Halsey Street home in Bed-Stuy because he'd likely get arrested. Despite still having the property and mortgage in his name, he says marshals evicted his family over the summer.
It was about 4 to 6 of them with guns. You know, you would think my house was some type of criminal activity going on. I'm embarrassed about that, too.
Walker says even though his home was never foreclosed on, the court ordered him to sell the property to pay overdue fees. But he says if it hadn't been for $40,000 spent defending his home, that wouldn't have been a problem.
The money I spent on legal fees, I could have been caught up already.
There needs to be a moratorium on taking houses from these homeowners until we can make sure that something's not unethical, illegal, or unmoral.
Borough President Eric Adams says his office has heard dozens of similar stories over the past year. Homeowners in rapidly gentrifying areas like Bed-Stuy forced out of their homes in one of 3 ways: forced foreclosures, deed fraud, or the city's third-party transfer program.
We believe when you have something of this magnitude that could be a large number of black and brown homeowners losing their homes, when the dust settles, we cannot look back and say, wow, we should have paid attention to this.
Which is why Adams and City Council member Robert Cornegy are calling for a stop on all property seizures pending federal, state, and city investigations. For its part, the city's Office of Housing Preservation and Development, which runs the TPT program, says it's unfair to lump it in with other illegal activities scamming people out of their homes.
And joining us now is Joe Messeri. Joe, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So, Joe, please elaborate. Why are vulnerable New Yorkers like Van Walker, which we saw in your piece, losing their homes?
Well, as you heard, it's really 3 scenarios that the council member Robert Cornegy and the borough president Eric Adams were targeting. The TPT program, HPD's third-party transfer program. You also have forced foreclosures and deed fraud. Usually, they fall into one of those 3 categories.
So explain a little bit about what is forced foreclosure and deed fraud.
All right. So I think actually it's best if we start with TPT.
Okay.
Because they kind of follow from one another. So TPT is the city's third-party transfer program. The goal is to help the tenants. That is their main priority there. And usually it deals with buildings that are larger, apartment buildings where the landlord maybe has been neglectful. But in this case, and what sparked the attention of the council member and the borough president, was the fact that we were talking about brownstones in Brooklyn, which may be 2 or 3 family homes, and we had homeowners who had lost their home because of the city's third-party transfer program. Now, since they've backtracked a little bit, Robert Cornegy has said that he's looked into the program and he has a lot more faith in it now than he did previously.
What about Brooklyn Borough President Adams? Is he still pointing a finger at TPT?
Yes, because his main concern is generational wealth. When we talk about these homes, they've skyrocketed in value. We all know about the gentrification and the increased popularity in many Brooklyn neighborhoods. But when a homeowner has several $1,000s in back taxes that are due to the city, oftentimes they can't afford the upkeep of the property. So what the city is doing, the HPD program, is taking...
What HPD stands for?
The Housing Preservation and Development.
Okay.
They're taking the property, transferring it to a third party, which is meant to rehab the building, get it in the best condition possible, and then preserve affordability of that housing. We all know about the affordability housing crisis that's going on in New York City right now. One misconception was that these homeowners were being kicked out of their home.
Right.
They are allowed to stay in their homes at an affordable rate. However, they do lose ownership of that home. Right. And that is the main concern of the borough president right now.
So is gentrification the original sin of this problem? Is it the first cause?
I think that it definitely attracts a lot more attention when these property values skyrocket. One of the things that gentrification does is it also raises the rents that many of these people are paying. TPT comes in and they try and keep the tenants, if we're thinking about the apartment buildings, in their neighborhoods by preserving that affordability. But there's a lot of incentive for these landlords to force out their tenants by making sure the conditions in the building deteriorate, because as they turn over, they're able to raise rents more. So a lot of it can be traced back to gentrification.
Just how extensive is this problem, and why did it seem to explode all of a sudden last year?
So the number of complaints coming into the borough president's office and the council member's office seemed to explode because I think people were becoming more aware of it. We talked about TPT, and one of the things that TPT does is it helps people get out of debt by giving them tax exemptions, putting them on payment plans, finding a way. 80% of the buildings that go into the TPT program are managed to exit before they lose the ownership of it over the 3-year process that this takes. So some people, however, are skeptical because when someone is offering you help like that in New York, you're worried that you're getting scammed.
Right.
And the reason they're worried they're getting scammed is because people are doing scamming when it comes to that.
Sure.
That's what deed fraud is. We heard one case where a couple real estate developers were offering somebody help. And when they were signing on the dotted line, what they were actually doing was signing over the deed to their home. And so it's hard for people to trust when someone is saying, I'm here to help you get out of the hole that you're in.
So Adams and Cornegy are calling for a moratorium on all property seizures until there's federal, state, and city investigations. How likely is that to happen?
I think that at this point, as far as the TPT program is concerned, there is going to be a little bit of a drawback on that. We've already seen it already. When it comes to deed fraud, the district attorney is aware of the problem that exists. They have, I believe it's about 20 prosecutions and convictions of deed fraud in the last few years. And this problem really started in 2014, same time those property values really started to rise. That's when we saw more of this happen. As far as an investigation into forced foreclosures, I think you're likely to see that because one of the concerns, as you heard in the case of this story, is that this gentleman had the money to pay the back fees on his mortgage, but he wasn't afforded that opportunity because he had to use that money for legal fees in court. If the courts operated the same way that the city's operating with the TPT program, putting people on payment plans, giving them some leniency, then I think we'd see less people who have their homes foreclosed on. And ultimately, I think that's the goal for homeowners.
And quickly, I think we have less than about 30 seconds. If someone watching us now is worried that they're on the verge of losing their home for one of these reasons, who should they contact? What should they do?
Yeah, the number one thing they should do is reach out to the district attorney's office if they think they've already become a victim. If not, the city has a notification system for you where if any changes are made to your property, you will be notified. The same way Bank of America will notify you if there's a suspicious activity on your debit card, the city will do the same thing if there's suspicious activity to your property records. And so you should sign up for that right away so you can be informed.
All right, Joe, this is very useful information. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Sharing it with us.